Konnichiwa Sekai. Chiaki AMF back on YouTube after a 2-year absence, and it is good to be back. For those of you who have watched my prior videos, you're probably expecting the Asta Region project. I'm sorry to say I won't be finishing that. Unfortunately, the project left me so burnt out that it was responsible for my absence from YouTube for the past few years. But if you've seen my Tumblr, you know that I have been continuing to draw. And to draw, I certainly have. There's actually a decent chance that most of you coming from Tumblr know me for my Natsuki AU, which is basically where I take Yokai Watch and made the main protagonist trans because who's gonna stop me? But now that I'm returning to YouTube, here's the big question. What the hell do we do with it? I have allotted 2 smaller projects than the Asta region, mostly because I've come to the conclusion I am not good at finishing things. So with all these smaller projects, I figured we can work up to bigger things. So for now is the first of these small projects. Yokai Watch X Monster High, baby! Now that's probably the most random crossover you've ever heard of, but it makes more sense when you think about it. They're both taking grotesque monsters from folklore and turning them into marketable toys. Only one is Pokemon-ish and the other is dolls. So, I have selected 5 Monster High characters that I am going to give fits based on yokai from Yokai Watch. Keep in mind, I am not a fashion designer, so these are probably amateurish at best, but I like to think I did good. Without further ado, let's get it started with Draculaura stealing my heart. Laura here has always been one of my favorite Monster High girls. I just love vampires, what can I say? And she's one of the few dolls I actually own. So I had to include her in this. Probably helped that she was like the one ghoul to go to Japan in the series. As for pairing her up with a yokai, that one was tricky. I gave myself the limit of it has to be based on an actual creature from Japanese folklore and can't be, I don't know, the remote that pretends to be a vampire. So I thought to myself, what is something about Dracula that I can connect to yokai? Well, he does have a couple of unique powers that other vampires don't really tend to have, like turning into mist. And that was when I remembered our resident cloud girl, Smogmella. And let me tell you, combining her with Draculaura was a great idea. The contrast of Smogmella's cool blues with Drac's hot pinks just worked out perfectly, especially at the split dye they've been giving her recently. To fit with Draculaura being usually the oldest of the cast, I gave her a more traditional kimono, though I did rope in a bit of Lolita fashion since Drac has some inspiration with that herself. And I gave her a parasol based on Polysol because why not? She was the first of these I made, so she really set the tone for the rest of these. I like to think I did pretty well, but what do you think? Tell me in the comments. Next up was one of the easiest connections to make. Twilight Boogeyman, daughter of the Boogeyman. Now, Japan does have its own boogeyman of sorts, the Namahage, represented in Yokai Watch by Snartle. For this one, when I was trying to think of, okay, what do we do for a boogeyman in training? My mind immediately went to Seto Kazuya, you know, VTuber with that exact theme. So I sort of based her fit on his. I don't know, kinda got a bit lost in translation as I tried to incorporate elements from Snartle, like those little sword earrings, as a bit of a reference to the Yokai Watch anime where he had a sword necklace, and had to give her the mask, set in a bit of a way like Brutal is. Overall, the process with Twyla was just significantly easier than the process with Drac. Probably helped that she was the second and already had a strong connection. Kinda results in her having the least to talk about, but I still think that with these teals and purples, she turned out pretty well. Is this one your favorite? Tell me below. Rolling on into number 3, Toralei just had to steal the show. With her, the connection was obvious. Yokai Watch's mascot himself, Jabanyan. Twilight was a very experimental piece for me because I decided to give her a fashion choice that I have never worked with before, Gyaru. I honestly don't know if that is present in the final design. I admittedly did not do that extensive of research. I more so just tried to find an outfit that would fit the theme and would look cute. One of my more inspired choices was turning these little socks into Jabanyan's tails, since you can't really give Toralei a second tail that's like part of her anatomy already. Most importantly, I just tried to channel Jabanyan into the outfit. I turned his little sash into a skirt, gave her a choco bar hair clip, which I'm sure he would probably try to eat, even gave her a piercing that looks like his ear nick. This one was a lot of fun, even if it didn't turn out initially how I expected. And you know what? That's just fine. This whole thing is just combining two things I like and trying to figure out how to do that. So it should be a bit experimental. I'll tell you one thing, if nothing else, this does have me a bit excited to work with Gyaru again, because I do plan to draw another character in the style, and hopefully that time I'll have a bit more experience to go around. But for now, what do you think of this Toralei? Okay, so far this whole thing has been whatever the opposite of a sausage fest is, so let's include some guys, shall we? Like our arrow, a Snake King, Deuce Gorgon. Believe it or not, you guys kinda influenced this one. A while back on my Tumblr, I put out the poll, who is more fashionable, Noko or Venat? And y'all voted in favor of Noko and his cute little bow tie. Bet you didn't think this is what that was for, did ya? With our yokai selected, the style was obvious. He had to be dapper as hell. So I gave him a Ouija fit. Ouija? I don't know, that Lolita subset that's based more on masculine fashion. Gave him a cane and top hat, some buckles, really just kitted the guy out to look like an English gentleman. And what can I say, I think it looked really good. The yellow kinda clashes with his green a bit, but using Noko as a base, I kinda had to go with that. And as you can probably tell, about halfway through, news came in the middle of the night, and I got the idea to make his top hat Wazat. What can I say, including more yokai in with little silly objects like this, it was fun. Especially worked out since Noko's green and Wazat's green are really close to each other. Thus, it didn't throw off the color scheme at all. Overall, I could not be happier with the silly snake theming that we came up with for Deuce together, even if your participation was a little unexpected. And so we come to our final design of the day. Laguna, you're the finest fish in this lagoon. I knew I had to include another one of the main ghouls, and Laguna just felt underrepresented to me in most of the Monster High lines. Like, she's always kind of been the, I guess, fifth wheel of the friend group? I don't know. But to be honest, once Gen 3 rolled around, I really started liking Laguna. She just had all the funniest lines, made including her a real fun step. Especially since it was rather obvious which one to pair her with, one of the Kappa. Out of all the Kappa, I decided to go with Sapyo, purely because teal skin, dark blue shorts really goes well with Laguna's pink skin. Honestly, the whole thing gave me a sort of hippie vibe, which also fits Laguna with a really bubbly, upbeat personality. It was a fun fit to think of. And in Sapyo's design, there is like a lot of jewelry involved, so it made for some fun accessories. I even added my own by giving her some little turtle earrings, since Kappa are basically just human turtle hybrids. I'd say probably my biggest struggle with Laguna was figuring out exactly what to do with her hair. I ended up stealing the leaf hat thing from Wild Kappa since I didn't really like Sapyo's hair on Laguna. It is a pretty basic look for her, but I think it worked out well enough. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid look for one of the more underrepresented characters of Monster High. But what do you think? Tell me below. Well, there you have it. 5 Monster High fits based on 5 Yokai from Yokai Watch. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so my return doesn't become a regret. And if you really like these, I am taking commissions. You can find the details on the pinned post in my Tumblr blog or in the link in the description. I try to keep my prices mostly reasonable, so hopefully it's not too outrageous. Overall, I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was really fun to come back. Hopefully I'll have something more for you to chew on in the near future. But until then, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, and good night.